Hello, everybody, and welcome to English Pod. My name is Marco.
My name is Catherine, and we hope by now you're very excited about football or soccer. This is the World Cup time of year, so this comes every 4 years, actually. And we've got a lesson all about it.
That's right. So as everyone may or may not have heard, we are actually in the middle of the World Cup. And as you say, it's a football or soccer competition. Now, soccer is only used in the United States.
That's right. It's used in the United States, although football can be confusing in a place like Australia, where they have two different games that are called football.
That's right. So it's a little bit difficult at times to tell someone that you play football and they think you play American football or Australian football or soccer. So it's a little bit confusing.
It can be, yeah.
All right, so we have a great lesson all about the World Cup. We're going to explain a little bit, and so let's listen to the dialogue for the very first time.
What are you doing?
What am I doing? What am I doing? Don't you know what day it is?
No.
It's only the day when the world's biggest sporting event is kicking off.
What?
The World Cup. The first match is today. It's Mexico versus South Africa. It's going to be a really good match. Both teams have a very strong offense and have skilled players. I think that South Africa will probably dominate the first half since they are the host country and all.
I have no idea what you're talking about. The only sporting event we watch at home is the Super Bowl.
This is bigger than the Super Bowl, man. Teams from 32 countries compete against each other every 4 years and fight to win that trophy. They first start in a group stage with 8 groups, each group having 4 teams. The top 2 teams pass on to an elimination stage before going on to the semifinals and the quarterfinals.
Sounds interesting, but soccer doesn't really appeal to me.
Are you kidding? Over 700 million people watch the final match of the 2006 World Cup. It's a very exciting and nerve-wracking sport. Each nation is cheering on their team, hoping they will become the next champion. So far, Brazil is the team with the most titles under their belt. They're really good.
All I know about soccer is that you can't use your hands and that players are always falling down trying to get a free kick or penalty kick. It seems like a sissy sport to me.
Whatever. I'm going to go watch the opening match.
All right, we're back. So obviously, 2 people discussing or fighting over the World Cup and soccer. One of them doesn't really like it. But he came up with some really interesting points and explained a couple of interesting things. So let's take a look at some of that vocab on Language Takeaway.
Language takeaway.
So, okay, the very first phrase here is a very important one. We're talking about sports. This game is called a sporting event.
That's right. So a sporting event is an event, I guess you would say, is a performance or something that happens occasionally, but related to sports.
That's right. So an event can be a game itself or a tournament. You've heard maybe of, well, the UEFA Cup, that's the European Federation of Football or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. So basically you have this tournament for European soccer teams, but the World Cup is also an event, and a very important game could also be an event. So this basically means a sporting match or a sporting competition.
That's right. Now it may sound confusing as to why you put the ing in sport. It should be maybe sports event or sport event. But I'm not really sure why we add the gerund to sporting event.
We always just say it this way. It's a set phrase. So let's remember that it's sporting event. This is the world's most important sporting event, for example.
Okay, very good. Now we went in, we talked about the first match, Mexico versus South Africa. And they're talking about the teams and how they both have a very strong offense.
Okay, so offense is a part of the team. Basically, it's a group of players who are trying to score.
That's right.
Okay, so when you're good at offense, it means you're good at scoring. Mm-hmm. And the opposite of offense is what?
Defense.
Defense. So offense, defense.
Mm-hmm.
You can say they have a very strong defense. That means that it's very hard to score against them because their defenders, their goalies, they're all very strong.
That's right. So we're talking about an offense and a defense, both very important parts of a team. And so the guy continued and made a little bit of a prediction saying that South Africa will probably dominate the first half.
Okay, so you know that football matches are split into halves. You have first half and second half. To dominate here means to be stronger than someone else.
So to control the ball or to have possession or to be the one that is the strongest team on the field.
That's right. So you can dominate by having a very strong defense, or you can dominate by having a very strong offense, or both. Dominate means be stronger than.
That's right. Okay, now let's move on to the other guy who doesn't really like soccer. And he says, I have no idea what you're talking about. All I know is that I watched the Super Bowl.
Okay, now this is a very American thing, the Super Bowl.
That's right.
We mentioned earlier that in America, most people call the game soccer, not football. Well, that's because in America, we have a different game called football.
That's right.
And so the Super Bowl is like the most important game in the football world. It's the game that happens every year at the very end of the season.
That's right. So this is what we usually call American football. So you've probably seen it on TV as well. And the Super Bowl is basically the name of the final sporting event of American football. Just like we have World Cup, we have the Super Bowl. And
the winner of the Super Bowl is the best team that year.
That's right. All right, so now let's go on to explain a little bit about how the World Cup works. The guy went on to explain that there are 32 countries competing, and basically we have 3 parts: an elimination stage, a semifinals, and quarterfinals.
Okay, so basically this describes the different levels, because obviously 32 teams can't compete for one trophy at first. You have to make the numbers smaller. So 32 becomes 16, becomes 8, becomes 4, becomes 2.
That's right.
And so we have different groups for these. The first one is the elimination stage, when some teams lose and they go home.
That's right.
And after that, then we have a quarterfinals. So what is quarterfinals?
The quarterfinals are when you have 8 teams that are basically the top 8 teams of the competition, and they will play against one other opponent. So the winner passes on to the next stage, which would be the semifinals.
Well, the math makes sense because quarter has to do with 4, right?
That's right.
So in the quarterfinals, 8 teams become 4. And in the semifinals, 4 teams become 2.
That's right.
And then what happens after the semifinals?
And then we have the final, where basically the 2 top teams will compete against each other, and there will be one champion.
USA! US! And this is when it gets very nationalistic. People are very proud of their countries.
Of course, of course. And so this basically is what happens and how we get our champion. And, well, now let's explain a little bit very quickly about 2 things that happen in the game during gameplay, when we have a free kick and a penalty kick.
Okay, so a kick, you just kick the ball. But sometimes when the ball goes out of bounds, or when a player is injured or there's a foul, then that player or his teammate can take a special kick. All right, and so a free kick it's just a kick from anywhere, right? A free kick is a kick that you get basically according to the referee, who says, okay, stop the game. He's going to kick from inside the lines.
That's right. So wherever you are fouled, wherever somebody maybe hit you wrong or something happened, from that position you will kick freely towards the goal or wherever you want.
You can pass to your other players as well.
That's right.
But a penalty kick is a bit different because you have to be in a special place when you do it.
That's right. A penalty kick is when you are fouled inside the box, what they call it, is in the area very close to the goalie. So if you commit a foul there, then the other player will receive a penalty kick, and it will just be him against the goalie, and he must kick the ball. I think it's approximately 10 meters, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, and this is why it's very dangerous, because you're so close to the goalie and no one can stop you. And so when fouls happen inside that special box, it's usually bad news for the goalie.
Yeah, of course. So this is what happens during a penalty kick, and well, basically you have no defenders, so it's just you, the goalie, and it can get, as you said, very complicated for the goalie. So all right, so we've taken a look at a lot of things on language takeaway. Let's move on now to 3 phrases on Fluency Builder.
Fluency Builder.
Okay, so this is a great word to describe how I felt last week when I watched the England versus America match. I thought it was a nerve-wracking game.
That's
okay?
right.
And we heard this in the dialogue, right?
Yeah, you said it was a very nerve-wracking game, or in the dialogue, the guy said it's a very exciting and nerve-wracking sport. So if something's nerve-wracking, what does it mean?
Well, basically, if you break it down, nerves are those things in your body, in your skin, that make you feel. So if someone hurts you, you feel it because of your nerves. So something that is nerve-wracking makes you nervous. It makes you anxious. It makes you feel very sensitive.
That's right. So, of course, the sporting event is so exciting, and you're worried that your country or your team will lose, that you're very nervous and you're very excited, you're very anxious. A lot of things are going on.
Maybe you're sweating, maybe you're drinking a lot. You don't want to see your team lose, and so you get very nervous.
That's right. And now, of course, if your team is in the World Cup, you are cheering on for your team, or you're cheering them on.
Okay, so this is an interesting phrase because maybe you've heard the word to cheer before, go team, go team.
Yeah.
This is cheering. But we often say, I want to cheer him on. Okay, so this on to me means like, I want to cheer him on to victory. I want to push them towards some goal. And so you hear this a lot. Let's cheer them on. Or he was really cheering me on. Made me feel good. And
Motivating you.
Motivating you. So to cheer someone on. Cheer them on.
All right. So obviously this is why we have cheerleaders, right? Girls that
Give me an
cheer.
A. Give me a B.
These are the girls or the group of girls that cheer teams on.
Or men too. I've seen male cheerleaders.
Yes, that's true. All right. And now when we talked about Brazil, they are the team with the most titles under their belt.
Okay, we're not talking about a real belt here, are we?
No.
No. Under your belt, or under their belt in this case, means that in their history, they have the most titles.
That's right. I think it may come from boxing or one of those sports where you actually wear a belt that says your title. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, sometimes a boxing belt will have various titles on the belt.
Right, the championship belts.
Yeah.
Because they wear it afterwards. I've never heard that before, but it does make sense. But the important thing to remember here is that it's not just sports. You could say he has 10 years of experience in marketing under his belt.
That's right.
That means he's good. I mean, he's experienced at marketing.
That's right. So that's right. As you said, you can use it for work experience. You can use it for titles in work, or maybe in education. You can say he's got 3 master's degrees under his belt.
Wow.
All right. So a lot of great stuff there. We've taken a look at a lot of vocab. So I think we should listen to our dialogue again, and we'll be back to talk a little bit more.
What are you doing?
What am I doing? What am I doing? Don't you know what day it is?
No.
It's only the day when the world's biggest sporting event is kicking off.
What?
The World Cup. The first match is today. It's Mexico versus South Africa. It's going to be a really good match. Both teams have a very strong offense and have skilled players. I think that South Africa will probably dominate the first half since they are the host country and all.
I have no idea what you're talking about. The only sporting event we watch at home is the Super Bowl.
This is bigger than the Super Bowl, man. Teams from 32 countries compete against each other every 4 years and fight to win that trophy. They first start in a group stage with 8 groups, each group having 4 teams. The top 2 teams pass on to an elimination stage before going on to the semifinals and the quarterfinals.
Sounds interesting, but soccer doesn't really appeal to me.
Are you kidding? Over 700 million people watched the final match of the 2006 World Cup. It's a very exciting and nerve-wracking sport. Each nation is cheering on their team, hoping they will become the next champion. So far, Brazil is the team with the most titles under their belt. They're really good.
All I know about soccer is that you can't use your hands and that players are always falling down trying to get a free kick or penalty kick. It seems like a sissy sport to me.
Whatever. I'm going to go watch the opening match.
All right, so the World Cup, as we said, it gathers over 100 million people to watch the final in 2006. Now, this sport is not very popular in North America.
It's not, well, that's not totally true because Mexicans really follow football.
That's right. That's right.
But I think in America, in United States, it is one of the less popular sports. I was thinking the other day, maybe number 5 on our list of popular sports.
Maybe because, well, you have American football, the NFL, you have Major League Baseball, you have the NBA, you have the NHL, and I think maybe before soccer you probably either have golf or tennis before soccer. Even though the United States does have its own Major League Soccer.
Yep, MLS, Major League Soccer, and my hometown team is Chicago Fire, pretty good team.
I heard they're very good.
And the LA Galaxy, I think, is the other best team in the States.
That's right. Now, the United States did host the 1994 World Cup, and I think this is where a little bit of more interest started to come up, and I think Major League Soccer was formed prior to the World Cup in the United States.
That's right. Well, there's another part of it. I mean, as young people, as children, we almost all played soccer. I played soccer. I know a lot of my friends did as well. It's not popular everywhere, but a lot of people play it. And there's not really an audience for soccer in America once you're in the professional realm. And so the problem is when you pass college, you don't think of it as, you know, the NBA, for example, because there's not as big of an audience. And so people just end up doing their normal jobs as opposed to being professional soccer players.
I think that has a big something to do with it, is the fact that there is not as much money in this sport professionally as, for example, the NBA
or prestige.
Exactly. Although this is the on the other hand, these players that do make it and they really want to play, they go abroad and they go play in the European leagues or something like that.
That's right. I think a lot of the American players who were playing the other day against England were playing against their teammates because so many of the American team, the American national team, play in the English Premier League. It was really awkward.
Well, it's a really great sport, as I think it's one of the most popular sports in many other countries as well, because it's so easy. All you need is a ball, you need a group of people, you put 2 rocks, and you have a goal, and you start playing.
And that's probably why it's the most international sport, because you know it's very easy to set up. People all over the world love it, and hopefully one day the United States will kind of push it and
champion.
Yeah, well. I hope this year they'll become champions, but my fingers are definitely crossed because who knows?
All right, so it's a really great topic. We want to know if your country is in the World Cup. Have you ever qualified for a World Cup? There are still many countries who haven't made it. Of course, it's a very small pool. 199 countries compete to qualify for the World Cup, and only 32 make it.
And you can also tell us who you're supporting. We won't judge.
That's right. So we're waiting for your comments at EnglishPod.com. We'll see everyone there.
Bye.
Bye. The English Pod Audio Review. Listen to the meaning, then say the vocabulary word.
To officially begin something. Kick. A step in a process. Stage. Something only appropriate for girls or women. Sissy. Game. Match. One who provides services, etc., as for a convention. Host.
Let's try that faster.
A step in a process. Stage. Something only appropriate for girls or women. Sissy. To officially begin something. Kick. Game. Match. One who provides services, etc., as for a convention. Host.
Now say the word and hear it in a sentence.
Stage. There are several stages a team must go through in order to make the finals. Stage. This morning, I finally moved on to the next stage of my video game. Stage. If we start her on these medications, we can cure her because she is still only in the first stages of the illness. Kick. Today, we are kicking off a new line of cosmetics. Kick. At the opening ceremony, we will kick off the beginning of the weekend conference. Kick. The fundraiser's kickoff will be tomorrow at 5 p.m. Match. It's Spain versus Brazil in the final match. Match. I can't make it to the match today, but let me know how it goes. Match. This soccer match is going to be nerve-wracking because it is my school against our rival school across town. Host. The host country put on quite an elaborate show at the opening ceremonies. Host. The host school went wild when the home team won the championship. Host. I hardly got any time to speak to the host of the party because she was constantly running around and talking to the other guests. Sissy. I think soccer is a sissy sport. Sissy. That kid is such a sissy when his mom is around, but he's fine when she's gone. Sissy. The whole camping trip she was being such a sissy about having to sleep on the ground and not being able to shower.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to English Pod. My name is Marco.
My name is Catherine, and today we've got a very special lesson for you all about time.
That's right. We're going to concentrate a little bit on some specific points of grammar this time, and we're going to talk about the morning routine, what you do in the mornings.
Well, let's take a look first at the word routine. This is our vocabulary preview for today.
Vocabulary preview.
All right, so a routine or the morning routine. What is a routine?
A routine is basically your habit for a certain period of time. Mm-hmm. So, for example, your routine in the morning is what you do when you wake up.
Right.
Get breakfast and go to work. You can also have an evening routine. It's what you always do before you go to bed.
Exactly. So everyone has a routine, what they do in the mornings, maybe what you do at night before going to bed. So that's what we're going to talk about today.
That's right. You can also have an exercise routine. So basically anything with steps, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that you always do the same way. That's the routine.
Exactly, right. So that's what we're going to take a look at today. Why don't we jump right into our dialogue and listen to Stephanie's routine.
Stephanie, did you just get to school? But you were up and about when I left the dorm this morning. That was about an hour and a half ago. This happens all the time. Why do you always take so long to get ready in the mornings?
It's a skill. What can I say? I don't know why. I just have a long routine.
Please explain, because it makes no sense to me. How can a girl's routine be so complicated? You get up, you shower, you get dressed, you brush your teeth, you're out the door. Half an hour tops.
Jacob, you have the luxury of having a haircut that rarely needs styling. I don't. I have to set aside about an hour and a half to get ready in the mornings. Every day, I wake up and head straight for the shower. Every second day, I wash my hair. If it's a hair washing day, I frequently need to wash my hair twice because it gets really oily. Then I usually put in a conditioner and have to rinse that out too. Because my hair is so long, I seldom manage to take a shower in under 20 minutes. Afterwards, I often put on a pot of coffee and get dressed while I wait for it to brew. I take a long time to get dressed in the morning. Every now and then I remember to choose my outfit the night before, but usually I do it in the morning. In all, getting dressed takes about half an hour, at which time my hair is now semi-dry, so then I have to style my hair. From time to time, I'll put my hair up, but oftentimes I blow dry it straight. And then, because of the texture of my hair, I regularly have to flat iron it to keep it from frizzing. That's another 20 minutes or so. After that, I have my daily makeup routine.
True, I hardly ever see you without your hair done and your makeup on, even when you show up to class in sweatpants. Tell me, how long does it take you to choose that outfit in the morning?
Not funny.
All right, we're back. So obviously she has a very complicated routine. I don't know if all girls are like this.
I'm not like this, but I think a lot of girls and some guys are.
Really?
I don't want to be sexist here. I know some guys who take their time in the morning and are very, very particular about
Really?
the way that they look.
Wow. Well, yeah, I imagine everyone has their morning routine in different ways. And it was interesting to see how she described it. So why don't we take a look at language takeaway?
Language takeaway.
So today's language takeaway, like I said at the beginning of the podcast, is all about time. So we're going to look at some of these important time adverbs.
That's right. These are called adverbs of frequency. And basically, they are telling us how we do things. If we do something all the time or if we never do something.
Or everything in between.
Exactly.
So the first couple we have today are very, very common words. You're going to hear these a lot. The first one is frequently.
Okay, frequently. So if you do something frequently, consider it to be about 75% of the time. Maybe a little bit more, almost 85% of the time.
Right. So it's not always, but it's very often. So for example, I frequently forget to take my keys when I'm leaving the house, which is a very big problem.
Exactly. So considering out of 7 days, maybe you forget your keys 5 days.
Not so good.
All right. So that's frequently. Now let's move on to another one that's actually a lot less. We talk about seldom.
Well, Marco has told me that he seldom forgets his keys. That means he almost always remembers them.
Right. So seldom is a negative adverb. It's saying that almost never. Okay. So if I say, for example, I seldom go to the movies.
That's too bad. I like the movies.
Right? Well, that means that I maybe go to the movie theater once a month.
Yeah, not very often.
Not
seldom.
very often. Seldom. All right. Now, going back to a positive adverb of frequency, we have often. You described frequently as very often.
That's right. So I could also say, I often forget my keys, or it often rains in tropical places. This means this is a common thing.
Exactly. So again, let's consider it to be about 70 to 80% of the time. Now, with pronunciation, some people like to pronounce often, right? They kind of leave out the strong T sound, while other people say often.
That's right.
Both forms are correct, right?
Yes, they're both correct. So you're safe using either of these.
Right. Okay. And our third adverb of frequency, no, our fourth. And our fourth adverb of frequency is also a positive one, and we say usually.
Usually means this is something that you do pretty consistently. I usually brush my hair before I go to sleep. That means not always, but almost every day.
Right. So let's consider out of 7 days, you do it 6 times.
Yeah. I
Okay.
usually do this.
Okay, so usually is, again, very, very common. And something in between, maybe 60% of the time, 50% of the time, we say regularly.
Well, I think of the word regularly as being very closely related to regular. So basically, if I have a schedule, I do the same thing every day. I do it regularly. But sometimes there's a special occasion. For example, I regularly run 5 kilometers after work when I go to the gym. But sometimes when I want to go out with my friends, I don't run. So
Right.
it's not always, but it is pretty regular.
Exactly. So regularly means you do it very often, but there are some exceptions. Okay. Now, those are our adverbs of frequency, but we have a couple of other phrases that are very similar, so we want to take a look at those as well. Let's go back to the beginning of Stephanie's routine when she said that every day I wake up. Okay, so every day means 100% of the time, every single day.
Monday to Sunday.
Exactly. So obviously you wake up every day.
Or I brush my teeth twice every day.
So that's 100% of the time. Now, if we say every second day, what does that mean?
That means Monday, yes. Tuesday, no. Wednesday, yes. Thursday, no. Or any day. So basically, she says, I wash my hair every second day. That means one day I wash my hair, but the next day I don't. The day after that, though, I wash it again. Every second day.
Okay, so you can say every second day, and I think you can also say every other day, right?
Every other day.
So every other day or every second day.
He calls his mother every other day.
Very good. All right. And she also said that every now and then I remember to choose my outfit.
Okay, well, this one's interesting. This is not very frequent. This is basically saying sometimes.
Sometimes. So now and then. Every now and then means I sometimes do it, I sometimes don't do it.
Every now and then, I really want to eat chocolate, so I buy a candy bar.
Okay, so maybe you want to eat chocolate twice in a month.
Yeah, not very often.
Not very often. Okay. And another one that's very similar is from time to time.
So Marco said that he doesn't go to the movies very frequently, so he goes from time to time.
Right, so I can say I seldom go to the movies, or I can say I like to go to the movies from time to time.
That's right. Or this girl is describing her appearance. She says, from time to time, I put my hair up. So that means most of the time. That means sometimes it's down.
Right.
Sometimes it's up.
Right, so as you can see, there are many different ways of describing the frequency or how many times you do certain actions or your routine, right? So you can use this with a lot of things when you're describing.
And we encourage you to try some of these new ones because a lot of English learners use the same time adverbs whenever they speak. So try and really use some of these and challenge yourself.
Exactly. All right, so that's all we have for language takeaway. Why don't we move on now to Fluency Builder?
Fluency Builder.
Okay, so using some of these adverbs, I can say, I regularly make a pot of coffee in the morning.
Okay, so a pot of coffee. You regularly make a pot of coffee. That means you like to drink coffee every day.
That's right. I always need my cup of coffee in the morning, so I usually make it first thing.
So a pot of coffee, we know what a cup of coffee is, but a pot of coffee, what is a pot?
A pot is basically the container that you use when you brew coffee, when you make it. So you put the coffee beans in the machine, and instead of having a cup underneath, you have a bigger container. That's a pot. You can also have a pot of tea.
Exactly.
It's many cups, usually 8 or 10 cups.
All right. And remember that verb, to brew coffee. I think it's a very nice, kind of fancy way of saying making coffee.
Brew a pot of coffee.
I'm brewing some coffee. All right. So apart from coffee and all of these things, let's take a look at some of the specific phrases that she used when she was talking about her hair, because I think her hair is very complicated.
It is very complicated. Sometimes she washes her hair. Sometimes she doesn't wash her hair. Sometimes she blow dries it straight.
Okay, so to blow dry means that you use a blow dryer.
That's right. This is a machine that uses electricity to blow hot air on your hair so that your hair will dry quickly. But you can blow dry your hair in many ways. Some people have curly hair and they have special tools for making their hair curly. But she says she blow dries it straight. That means she makes it straight with hot air.
Right, so I think the way you do this is you take the blow dryer and a brush and you brush while you blow dry, right?
Yep.
Awesome.
Making lines.
See, I know a little bit about this, even
Yeah.
though I don't have long enough hair for this.
No, I guess, well, maybe you are secretly one of those guys who has a routine like this woman.
I don't think I can take this much time in the shower and brushing my hair. But moving on, actually, I also know this next phrase, to flat iron your hair.
Okay, so flat iron is a noun and a verb. So I use a flat iron or I can flat iron my hair. This is a tool that we use that's very, very hot. Think of an iron. It's very, very hot. And it basically presses my hair and makes it very, very, very thin and flat and straight.
Right. So I think people that have straight hair don't need to really flat iron their hair.
Nah, but if you have very curly hair, then you need it.
So what's the difference? Give us the insight here. Why wouldn't you just blow dry it straight? Why do you need to flat iron it?
Because a flat iron makes it more flat. It makes your hair stick together more, and it's much, much, much hotter than a blow dryer.
Okay. So I guess if you use a blow dryer, then you have puffy hair, or like the next word that she described, frizzy hair.
Okay, so the adjective to describe this kind of hair is frizzy. For example, when it's very rainy, my hair is frizzy. That means that it sticks out. It's very thick and not straight.
Okay.
It's not curly, but it's, it's messy.
It kind of inflates.
That's right. It's like a little balloon. But the verb here is to frizz. So my hair is frizzing.
Okay. And that means that it's getting like this, bigger or inflated.
That's right. So usually girls who have this problem have it worse during very humid or rainy days. Not so bad when it's dry.
Okay, so I actually have a little bit of frizzy hair. That's why I have to use some sort of
hair gel
or mousse. See, it's not because I'm vain. It's just because if I don't use this, I'll come in looking like a lion. And I don't think
I might have to insist that happens sometime soon. We can take a picture and put it on our website, englishbot.com.
For sure. All right, so why don't we go back and listen to the dialogue one last time.
Stephanie, did you just get to school? But you were up and about when I left the dorm this morning. That was about an hour and a half ago. This happens all the time. Why do you always take so long to get ready in the mornings?
It's a skill. What can I say? I don't know why. I just have a long routine.
Please explain, because it makes no sense to me. How can a girl's routine be so complicated? You get up, you shower, you get dressed, you brush your teeth, you're out the door. Half an hour tops.
Jacob, you have the luxury of having a haircut that rarely needs styling. I don't. I have to set aside about an hour and a half to get ready in the mornings. Every day, I wake up and head straight for the shower. Every second day, I wash my hair. If it's a hair washing day, I frequently need to wash my hair twice because it gets really oily. Then I usually put in a conditioner and have to rinse that out too. Because my hair is so long, I seldom manage to take a shower in under 20 minutes. Afterwards, I often put on a pot of coffee and get dressed while I wait for it to brew. I take a long time to get dressed in the morning. Every now and then I remember to choose my outfit the night before, but usually I do it in the morning. In all, getting dressed takes about half an hour, at which time my hair is now semi-dry, so then I have to style my hair. From time to time, I'll put my hair up, but oftentimes I blow dry it straight. And then, because of the texture of my hair, I regularly have to flat iron it to keep it from frizzing. That's another 20 minutes or so. After that, I have my daily makeup routine.
True, I hardly ever see you without your hair done and your makeup on, even when you show up to class in sweatpants. Tell me, how long does it take you to choose that outfit in the morning?
Not funny.
All right, so actually talking about morning routines, and we've given you so many tools, I think it would be a great idea if our users came to our site, englishpod.com, and posted a part of their morning routine, trying to use as many adverbs of frequency as possible.
That's a great suggestion. And to get you all started, I could give you a little bit of my routine.
All right, let's hear it.
Every morning when I wake up, I turn off the alarm, which is very loud, and I take a shower. I always brush my teeth, and I usually brew a pot of coffee, although sometimes I don't have time to brew my coffee, and I wait until I arrive at my office. I seldom choose the clothes I will wear the night before. I almost always choose them in the morning, and generally I ride my bike to work, but not always.
Okay, I think in the winter you seldom ride your bike to work.
Every once in a while I ride
Every
it.
now and then. All right, see? You have a perfect example there of more or less what we expect, but also it would be interesting to see if you have any other type of routine. I know some people wake up in the morning and the first thing they do, they always walk their dog, for example.
That's very nice.
Yeah.
Other people are very hungry, so they almost always eat
First.
right when they wake up.
I eat before I brush my teeth.
Well, it's smart, actually.
Yeah. The English Pod Audio Review. Listen to the meaning, then say the vocabulary word.
Out of bed and beginning to move around. Up and about. To keep time for a particular purpose. Set aside. Often. Frequently. Almost never. Seldom. Whenever. At which time. Once in a while. From time to time. Frequently. Oftentimes. Cosmetics applied to improve your appearance. Makeup. A set of clothes. Outfit.
Let's try that faster.
Often. Frequently. Out of bed and beginning to move around. Up and about. Cosmetics applied to improve your appearance. Makeup. Frequently. Oftentimes. Almost never. Seldom. Once in a while. From time to time. A set of clothes. Outfit. To keep time for a particular purpose. Set aside. Whenever. At which time.
Now say the word and hear it in a sentence.
Up and about. Once I started taking the medication, I was up and about in no time. Up and about. He's usually up and about by 7 a.m. Up and about. Everyone else in the house is usually already up and about by the time I wake up. Set aside. I set aside 20 minutes every day to meditate. Set aside. You really need to set aside some time this week to work on your final project. Set aside. I set aside food for the next day's lunch and then ate the rest for dinner. Frequently. She frequently visits her grandfather on the weekends. Frequently. I frequently like to take drives in the countryside to get out of the city. Frequently. I eat the fish, but not frequently, maybe once or twice a month. Seldom. He seldom speaks about his family. Seldom. My roommate is always in her room. She seldom comes out. Seldom. I seldom manage to see my family now that I'm living on the other side of the country. At which time, I walked in the room, at which time my dog leaped up and gave me a huge kiss. At which time, dessert was served after dinner, at which time a string quartet began to play. At which time, he found a dead end, so he turned around and started to walk back down the alleyway, at which time several gang members turned the corner and stopped in front of him.
The English Pod Audio Review. Listen to the meaning, then say the vocabulary word.
Out of bed and beginning to move around. Up and about. To keep time for a particular purpose. Set aside. Often. Frequently. Almost never. Seldom. Whenever. At which time. Once in a while. From time to time. Frequently. Oftentimes. Cosmetics applied to improve your appearance. Makeup. A set of clothes. Outfit.
Let's try that faster.
Often. Frequently. Out of bed and beginning to move around. Up and about. Cosmetics applied to improve your appearance. Makeup. Frequently. Oftentimes. Almost never. Seldom. Once in a while. From time to time. A set of clothes. Outfit. To keep time for a particular purpose. Set aside. Whenever. At which time.
Now say the word and hear it in a sentence.
Up and about. Once I started taking the medication, I was up and about in no time. Up and about. He's usually up and about by 7 a.m. Up and about. Everyone else in the house is usually already up and about by the time I wake up. Set aside. I set aside 20 minutes every day to meditate. Set aside. You really need to set aside some time this week to work on your final project. Set aside. I set aside food for the next day's lunch and then ate the rest for dinner. Frequently. She frequently visits her grandfather on the weekends. Frequently. I frequently like to take drives in the countryside to get out of the city. Frequently. I eat the fish, but not frequently, maybe once or twice a month. Seldom. He seldom speaks about his family. Seldom. My roommate is always in her room. She seldom comes out. Seldom. I seldom manage to see my family now that I'm living on the other side of the country. At which time, I walked in the room, at which time my dog leaped up and gave me a huge kiss. At which time, dessert was served after dinner, at which time a string quartet began to play. At which time, he found a dead end, so he turned around and started to walk back down the alleyway, at which time several gang members turned the corner and stopped in front of him.
The English Pod Audio Review. Listen to the meaning, then say the vocabulary word.
Out of bed and beginning to move around. Up and about. To keep time for a particular purpose. Set aside. Often. Frequently. Almost never. Seldom. Whenever. At which time. Once in a while. From time to time. Frequently. Oftentimes. Cosmetics applied to improve your appearance. Makeup. A set of clothes. Outfit.
Let's try that faster.
Often. Frequently. Out of bed and beginning to move around. Up and about. Cosmetics applied to improve your appearance. Makeup. Frequently. Oftentimes. Almost never. Seldom. Once in a while. From time to time. A set of clothes. Outfit. To keep time for a particular purpose. Set aside. Whenever. At which time.
Now say the word and hear it in a sentence.
Up and about. Once I started taking the medication, I was up and about in no time. Up and about. He's usually up and about by 7 a.m. Up and about. Everyone else in the house is usually already up and about by the time I wake up. Set aside. I set aside 20 minutes every day to meditate. Set aside. You really need to set aside some time this week to work on your final project. Set aside. I set aside food for the next day's lunch and then ate the rest for dinner. Frequently. She frequently visits her grandfather on the weekends. Frequently. I frequently like to take drives in the countryside to get out of the city. Frequently. I eat the fish, but not frequently, maybe once or twice a month. Seldom. He seldom speaks about his family. Seldom. My roommate is always in her room. She seldom comes out. Seldom. I seldom manage to see my family now that I'm living on the other side of the country. At which time, I walked in the room, at which time my dog leaped up and gave me a huge kiss. At which time dessert was served after dinner, at which time a string quartet began to play. At which time he found a dead end, so he turned around and started to walk back down the alleyway, at which time several gang members turned the corner and stopped in front of him.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to English Pod. My name is Marco.
My name is Catherine, and today we're talking all about animals.
That's right. This is a very interesting topic, very important because, well, a lot of people like to have pets.
That's right. We're not going to the zoo. We're not talking about animals out in the forest or in nature. We're talking about pets that you keep at home. So let's start right away with today's dialogue, and we'll be back in a moment to talk about what's going on.
We have been over this 100 times. We are not getting a pet.
Why not? Come on. Just a cute little puppy or a kitty.
Who's gonna look after a dog or a cat?
I will. I'll feed it, bathe it, and walk it every day. We can get a Labrador or a German Shepherd.
What if we want to take a vacation? Who will we leave it with? Plus, our apartment is too small for that breed of dog.
Okay. How about we get a cat? Or a ferret?
We're planning on having children soon. I don't think those animals are a good idea with a baby in the house.
Fine. Let's get a bird then. We can keep it in its cage and teach it to talk. A parrot would be awesome.
I'll tell you what. I can get you some hamsters, and we'll take it from there.
Yay!
All right, we're back. So obviously, pets, having a pet at home is a very big responsibility. And well, this is what the couple was talking about. But before we get into that discussion, why don't we take a look at 5 key words that we have picked out for you on Language Takeaway.
Language takeaway.
So first off, the couple is talking about whether they should get a dog or a cat or a puppy or a kitty. And when they start talking about dogs, they talk about what kinds of dogs or the breed of the dogs. Let's look at this word.
That's right. They were talking about a German Shepherd or a Labrador. And as you said, this is the breed, or maybe you can say a kind of dog.
That's right. So breed is the technical word to describe the kind of dog that something is. So like you said, these are 2 examples. There are many, many, many breeds that we can talk about, but we'll just leave it at this for now. But we talked about some other kinds of animals today. But we heard about some other kinds of animals today. Not dogs, not cats, maybe smaller animals.
That's right. One of the animals that the person mentioned was a ferret.
Ooh, a ferret. So this is a very small, kind of long animal.
That's right. You may have seen it pets before. They kind of look like, I don't know, they have the face of a rat maybe, but they're very long.
And they're thin.
They're very thin.
They're not like a rat because maybe their body shape is very, very different. But they're also kind of small and they like to eat those little insects and things, right?
I don't know if they have long tails like rats do. I think they have furry
tails. Their tails are different, yeah. So that's a ferret, but we also heard about a special kind of bird.
That's right. We talked about a parrot.
So, as you know, there are many different kinds of birds. You can see birds out your window all the time, but birds that come from tropical places, usually very, very colorful birds, are called parrots.
That's right. So, a parrot usually can talk or imitate what you say or sounds, right?
That's right. They're actually very famous in the bird world for having a good ability to reproduce or to mimic the sounds that you make. So if I say hello, my parrot says hello.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really strange.
They're very, very intelligent animals. So that's a parrot. And our last animal is a very small animal, very popular also to have as a pet. We talked about a hamster.
A hamster. So this is a little bit like a mouse. They're furry, they're small, they're round, and they live in glass cages or fish tanks usually.
Yeah, they're very small. They don't really do much. They're just little furry creatures, and they, I don't know, they just eat all day. Sometimes they get them those little wheels that they can get inside and run around all day.
That's right. Or when I was a child and we had a hamster, we had a special plastic ball, and you put the hamster in the ball, and he would go around the house.
Yeah, exactly. It's very fun. All right, so we took a look at the pets that you can buy, domestic animals, but taking a look at something very specific when they were describing the responsibilities of having maybe a dog or a cat, they said they have to feed it, bathe it, walk it. So obviously we know that feed it is to give it food, but what about bathe it?
Okay, so you might know the word bath. Okay, that's a thing. It's a noun. Bathe is a verb, to bathe. And so I can bathe myself. That means I take a shower, I clean my body, or I can bathe something else, like an animal. So bathing a dog means basically washing a dog.
Right, so it sounds very fancy or formal if you say, I'm going to go take a shower, or you say, I'm going to go bathe.
Yeah, we don't really say that as much, but we often say bathe when we're talking about cleaning other things. Not a table, but cleaning people or animals.
Right, so you can say, did you bathe the baby?
Or did you bathe the dog?
Okay. So, and also remember that even though the dog may be female or male, we don't give it gender, right? We describe it as it.
That's right. Animals are almost always considered it in English, although some people who really love their animals call it he or she.
Right. So it's kind of your decision. It's not really incorrect if you say, oh, my dog, she's so beautiful if it's a female. But, technically you should say, my dog, it's very beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've taken a look at a lot of words there. Why don't we go back, listen to the dialogue, and we'll be back in a bit.
We have been over this 100 times. We are not getting a pet.
Why not? Come on. Just a cute little puppy or a kitty.
Who's gonna look after a dog or a cat?
I will. I'll feed it, bathe it, and walk it every day. We can get a Labrador or a German Shepherd.
What if we want to take a vacation? Who will we leave it with? Plus, our apartment is too small for that breed of dog.
Okay. How about we get a cat? Or a ferret?
We're planning on having children soon. I don't think those animals are a good idea with a baby in the house.
Fine. Let's get a bird then. We can keep it in its cage and teach it to talk. A parrot would be awesome.
I'll tell you what. I can get you some hamsters, and we'll take it from there.
Yay!
All right, we're back. So now we've picked out 4 key phrases for you. Let's take a look at those now in Fluency Builder.
Fluency Builder.
So at the very beginning of today's conversation, we hear the first person say, we've been over this 100 times. So what does this mean? This means that they've never talked about this before?
No, this is actually the opposite, but it's a way to exaggerate, right? Because obviously they haven't maybe talked about getting a pet 100 times, but you're just making emphasis on the fact that we've talked about this many, many, many times.
And almost like you're tired of it. Like, oh, do we have to talk about this again?
Right.
It's, like you said, an exaggeration to say, come on. So we've been over this 1,000,000 times. We've been over this 100 times. These are all ways of saying, oh, we have to talk about this again.
Exactly. You're emphasizing that, well, maybe you've done it too many times already. All right. And, when they were talking about the puppy or the kitty, the guy asked, well, who's going to look after the dog or the cat?
Okay, so this is an important phrase. We're going to treat this as a kind of a chunk. These words go together. To look after. So we could look after a baby or look after the pet. This means to watch or to care for.
Right, to take care. So maybe if you're going to go out tonight, you want to leave your son with a babysitter to look after him.
Right, to make sure that there are no problems or to make sure that he eats and goes to sleep.
Exactly. So to look after, to take care or to make sure he or she is okay. All right. And well, obviously the guy didn't want a puppy. He didn't want a kitty. So the girl was giving alternatives and said, well, how about we get a cat or a ferret?
Okay. The phrase here, how about, is very, very common in English. I think a lot of people who learn English have a hard time knowing when to use this phrase. How about?
That's right. So it's very simple. The phrase, how about, is to give an alternative, right?
Okay, or a suggestion. So, for example, you and I are talking about where to eat lunch, I don't know, and you give a suggestion, you say, how about pizza? And I say, I don't know, how about McDonald's? We're giving suggestions or offering alternatives.
Exactly. So this is the correct way of using how about. Many students make the mistake of using it as to say, how was it? Or how did it go? right?
Right. So, how was your weekend? That's correct. How about your weekend?
That's incorrect.
No, do not say that. You want to say, how about this? How about that? How about a Coke? How about some food? These are suggestions, but a real question, you have to say how was or how is.
Right. So never, never, never say, how about your weekend? That is incorrect. And it's actually very common to hear this from students. So remember, it's not correct. How about your weekend? No, incorrect.
So at the very end of the dialogue, we're talking about hamsters. I can get you some hamsters and we'll take it from there.
That's right. The phrase, take it from there. It's kind of a way of saying, look, let's start with something small or let's start with something simple and we will see how it goes.
So basically, the woman is saying, I don't want to commit, I don't want to agree to get a big animal like a dog or a cat because I'm not sure how it will be. I'm not sure if it will be too much responsibility. So she's saying, okay, we'll get something small and then we'll wait and we'll see what happens. We'll take it from there.
That's right. So it's basically saying, let's start slowly. So for example, maybe a guy asks you out, right? And says, hey, will you marry me? And you say, whoa.
Let's go on a date first and we'll take it from there.
Exactly.
We'll
right.
see what happens.
So let's start slowly. Let's take things step by step. All right, so that's all the phrases that we have for you today. I think we should listen to the dialogue one last time, and we'll be back to talk a little bit more.
We have been over this 100 times. We are not getting a pet.
Why not? Come on. Just a cute little puppy or a kitty.
Who's gonna look after a dog or a cat?
I will. I'll feed it, bathe it, and walk it every day. We can get a Labrador or a German Shepherd.
What if we want to take a vacation? Who will we leave it with? Plus, our apartment is too small for that breed of dog.
Okay. How about we get a cat? Or a ferret?
We're planning on having children soon. I don't think those animals are a good idea with a baby in the house.
Fine. Let's get a bird then. We can keep it in its cage and teach it to talk. A parrot would be awesome.
I'll tell you what. I can get you some hamsters, and we'll take it from there.
Yay!
All right, Catherine, so what about pets? Are you a big pet lover? Do you like ferrets, hamsters, all this good stuff?
I don't like small pets. I love big pets. So as a kid, we had both. My brother really loved small animals like hamsters and ferrets and things like that. I just think they're a little bit stinky. They kind of smell funny. So ever since, I've always really liked big animals like dogs.
So you are a dog person.
I am a dog person.
This is something interesting that we describe in English. People say, I am a dog person, I am a cat person.
It's almost like it says something about your personality.
Exactly. So if you're a dog person, it means that you prefer dogs or you like dogs. If you're a cat person, you prefer cats.
And a lot of people really like dogs but don't really like cats. Or they love cats and they can't stand dogs.
Right. I think it even gets to the point where I've heard that maybe on dates, people will ask, so are you a dog person or a cat person?
I know that's how I pick dates.
Really?
What about you? Are you a dog person or a cat person?
I'm definitely a dog person. I think,
Good answer.
yeah. I think cats are, they're nice and they're cuddly and I think they're very good indoor pets and a little bit more fun than maybe a hamster. But I think dogs have more life and are more energetic. I think cats are very lazy.
And I think sometimes cats like to play mind games. Like they're so smart that they can control you. That makes me uncomfortable.
All right. So, there are a lot of other pets out there. Some people have tarantulas. Some people have iguanas. Other people have fish.
Or horses.
Horses, if you have enough space, right? So we want to know, what kind of pets do you have or did you have as a kid?
That's right. Let us know. Our website is englishpod.com. We hope to see you there.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
The English Pod Audio Review. Listen to the meaning, then say the vocabulary word.
Many times. 100 times. Take care of. Take responsibility for. Look after. To wash. Bathe. A particular kind of dog. Breed. To begin with. Take it from there. Extremely good. Awesome.
Let's try that faster.
Extremely good. Awesome. To begin with. Take it from there. To wash. Bathe. Many times. 100 times. A particular kind of dog. Breed. Take care of. Take responsibility for. Look after.
Now say the word and hear it in a sentence.
100 times. I've told you 100 times already to keep your hands off the stove. 100 times. I've told you 100 times don't date guys who still live with their parents. 100 times. We have been through this 100 times, and for the last time, nobody goes into my room without my permission. Look after. I need to look after my friend's goldfish while she's away. Look after. Honey, can you look after the baby while I go get some groceries? Look after. It's my son's job to look after the lawn in the summer. Bathe. The cat bathed in the sunlight on the porch all afternoon. Bathe. I bathe my dog every second week. Bathe. I think it's time to give you a bathing. Breed. What breed of dog were you looking for? Breed. My dog is a mixed breed of Poodle and Maltese. Breed. The local pet store only carries 2 breeds of birds, which are budgies and lovebirds. Take it from there. Let's solve this problem first and we'll take it from there. Take it from there. We need to perfect this section of the dance routine and then we'll take it from there. Take it from there. We'll see how our users respond to the new website and we'll take it from there.